This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Oh, yeah. Once again, it's on. As Ice Cube would say, you're on the block joining us right now, 2 to 4 each and every day. You can find us right here. And also on Allo, you can find us at 951 station on Allo. Allo is in the building right now. They are here. They are doing work. They are handling things at this particular moment. So things are on the up and up. It is me and Austin. We are your hosts for the day. Lots to get into today. But first, we're going to get into some Mary Ellen's. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. That is our sponsor. And you've got to love them. If you don't love them, you got to like them.
How could you not love them?
Some way, somehow.
The only way you don't love them is if you haven't been there. But even then, you should still love them because we tell you about all the great stuff they do for us, all the great stuff they do for the Lincoln community. You love them.
And guess what? They are open today. So you can find your way on out there. 27th at Pine Lake. You can go out there, find Mary Ellen's, Charles and the crew, say hello to them, and also let them know that we on the block and you're a blockhead and you're there to support them as you do us. We appreciate that as well. Let's get into the show today. Short, moderate crossover. Your Kansas City Royals are struggling a little bit. We're not going to talk too much baseball, but that's okay. Well, they'll find their way. At least they're better than Oakland.
Well, yeah, everyone's better in Oakland right now, but the Royals have only one more win than the A's.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, the time that I've spent down in KC, it's a great environment. It's a great sports town. I'm still surprised with all of the success that the Kansas Jayhawks have had over the years. Kansas State now, it's really a great sports town. Just look at what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Royals have been solid over the years, just haven't been able to get that super breakthrough, but they've had some good teams. But we're positive. I mean, T-Mobile Arena is a phenomenal arena. It's a surprise that they don't have a basketball team of any sorts there. I would also venture to say I think a great XFL or USFL team could manage there as well. They just love sports.
You mentioned the NBA team that's not in Kansas City. Would that be something that they would have to work in with the next CBA? Because they just agreed to one, but that's probably not going to happen until the 2030s now.
Yeah, it's an expansion type of deal. I mean, I know they're talking about it. I know Vegas is one of the ones that they're talking about. Somehow, some way, Vegas. I couldn't imagine, being a former baseball player, I couldn't imagine playing in the summer in Vegas.
Oh, boy.
I mean, the day games would be absolutely miserable. The night games even would be tough because it doesn't matter when the sun goes down there in Vegas. It is still quite hot. Your falls are pretty good. Your winters, you'll have sporadic cold days. It'd probably still be better than probably what you would get out in like New York or any of those types of teams. But that's neither here nor there. Let's jump into the topics of the day. One of the things we're going to talk about right now is comparing this year's NFL draft QBs to previous years and those in the past. This seems to be one that a lot of people are up in arms about. Obviously, it was a down year last year, one that only Kenny Pickett, which is there in Pittsburgh. And that's kind of, in some instances, a kind of a homer deal. They had a need. They felt that he was probably the best suitable pick. It's one that continues to put people in the stands. He was able to, have a pretty solid year. He didn't necessarily rank super high when you just look at all of the places where he ranked and so forth and so on, but he was the best thing in that particular draft. But let's talk about this year's draft. Two have kind of separated themselves, and you would look at Bryce Young as well as CJ Stroud. They've kind of separated themselves. Then you kind of get a hodgepodge in that area. CJ Stroud, in their rankings, they find themselves kind of in that, perennial all-pro range. And then you look at the others, and they're kind of just suitable backups at this particular point, unless they have some breakouts. But what's your thoughts on the prospects in the NFL grades of this year's QBs and where they're kind of rated and how they draft?
So we saw this from college football numbers that looked at all the college football quarterbacks that were, legitimate draft prospects going into it and how NFL.com then ended up grading them. And you mentioned Young and Stroud. Right now, they're sitting at about a 6.8 to 6.9 on that scale, which, like you said, top of the class. In terms of comparison throughout the years, what they're saying is these top two quarterbacks of this class have comparable scores to Tua Tagovailoa, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, and then looks like Josh Rosen and Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson are all in the same neighborhood.
Do you think Mitchell Trubisky should have been rated as high as he was?
Mitchell Trubisky should not have been rated as high as he was. With a year and a half of starting experience at North Carolina, they put him right on that 7 bar, which is essentially solid NFL starter.
Yeah.
He hasn't proven to be that at all.
They actually in 2018 had Sam Darnold higher than Joe Burrow. How with the season that Joe Burrow had, with the abilities that he showed, was it this? It wasn't a large enough sample size, probably. That you kind of just moderate your thinking on that. But what was it about Sam Darnold that you think would have him right up under Trevor Lawrence? Now, I think Trevor's starting to come into his own. I think him finding himself in Jacksonville, that's kind of a place where a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of players go to die, usually outside of the runs that they had in a few years.
Right. I mean, Jacksonville, when it first started with, you had Leftwich, you had Garrard, and you had Brunell that were all fine. And then they went through a wasteland of quarterbacks, and Lawrence is really, the most recent one there. Sam Darnold coming out of college, to me, was very similar to Zach Wilson. Big arm, able to create on the run, and he won USC some games. He was exciting the way that he, unseated the previous guy in that competition, took over as a young guy, won that Rose Bowl over Penn State. And I think that was the performance that really solidified him in NFL's guys' minds. But what we didn't see a lot of with him is a lot of what we didn't see with Zach Wilson, the pocket presence, the ability to, process quickly while you're under duress.
Yeah.
So the highs were absolutely exhilarating for both of those guys. But what we saw with, the Joe Burrow comparison was the one that you brought up, rated just a little bit lower. The question was never mental with Joe Burrow. It was, are his hands big enough and what's his arm strength like? Sam Darnold had the arm. We're finding that Joe Burrow does too.
Yeah. Now, outside of the top two of the day, obviously Malik Willis is still yet to be seen what he's going to be. Desmond Riddler is kind of Sam Howell. They're very high on. They're looking to see if he can emerge and really take on that role. But now in this next group, the one that I say has been the biggest surprise has been obviously Anthony Richardson. Him making his move, but the one that a little people have pause on, there's a little bit of hesitation on, is Hendon Hooker. And what do you think is about that kind of gives people pause?
His age. It's really his age, and he's coming off an injury, a major injury, tearing up his knee the way he did. So it's hard to, come off an injury regardless of the position you play. And Hendon Hooker was up and down in college, had a fantastic final year before getting hurt at Tennessee, but he stuck around college for a long time. So he would essentially have to come in and be ready to go from day one, at least the way NFL teams have viewed the quarterback position.
One of the ones that really killed himself in the combine is definitely Max Duggan. A lot of people were high on him early on, and then he gets to the combine and just absolutely lays an egg and finds himself at the bottom of the QB pool. Probably may not even be drafted, maybe a free agent contention. But I think one of the ones that I'm surprised that is not a little bit higher is Aiden O'Connell. A lot of people kind of really liked Aiden. Maybe that one season in his junior year, just wasn't. Was what they saw, but then last year, I think a lot of it had to do with him not just having the same type of weapons as he had, like with Bell and just some of those guys on the receiving core, just weren't able to create separation and get space, and it kind of maybe revealed his inabilities to kind of find room, which as a quarterback at the NFL level, Austin, windows get tight. They shrink quickly. Cornerbacks are that good, and they're able to break, they're able to read, they're able to kind of put their eyes on you and get good starts on you. So if you're not able to find those windows, it can be a hurt to you.
It sure can. And the thing with Aiden O'Connell is that he has NFL size, has a good arm, pretty good ball placement, but he played in a very quarterback-friendly offense, and he played at Purdue, who hasn't really done anything in the quarterback position since Drew Brees. You mentioned those weapons he had around him, too. You look at David Bell, you look at Rondale Moore, Payne Durham at tight end, Charlie Jones this year. Those are all NFL guys right there. So Alex O'Connell didn't necessarily have to do a lot of the creation. So I think if you look at his stats, if you look at the guys he had around him, and by all means processes the game fast, good teammate from everything we've heard, there's that. But I wonder just how much the stigma of Purdue is on him. It wasn't in a lot of big games. Yeah, you play against some really good defenses in the Big Ten West, but I don't think a lot of Purdue's success was because of Aiden O'Connell. I think he was just a point guard, just distributing. So I think some teams are more worried about the ceiling. He could be a career backup in the NFL. I could see that for Aiden O'Connell, but I just don't think many teams see him as a true playmaker like you want out of a QB1.
Being honest, as you look at this year's quarterback, it's definitely a lot more in the mix than it was in the last year, and in the year previous was definitely a high year, but only really Trevor Lawrence is really the one to me that is the only one that is broken out. I mean, you can make a case maybe somewhat Mac Jones, number 2, maybe Justin Fields still trying to figure it out in Chicago, just hasn't really. I still think there could be a Jalen Hurts type of emergence potentially with him as they continue to surround him a little bit more. So be on the lookout for a potential breakout for him. But of those guys in the hodgepodge, even the elite guys, based on where they go, who do you think possibly has the best opportunity to break forth in this upcoming year as they become drafted and move on to teams? Who has the best outlook to maybe make some noise?
That's a fantastic question. I think whoever the Panthers pick will have a pretty good shot. Carolina's building something down there. I just don't know if they have the quarterback to do it. They'll go to a quarterback guy in Frank Reich, who works with his quarterbacks, has done a lot of good work with them. So whoever it is the Panthers end up picking, the odds are moving toward Bryce Young even more by the day. So I would say he's got a shot. I think CJ Stroud is pretty NFL ready. I know the knock on Ohio State quarterbacks. They haven't succeeded in a while, but I think CJ Stroud is it. And Anthony Richardson might catch lightning in a bottle. I don't know where he goes. I don't know who he goes to, if he even starts this year. But with those tools, he might not have a great career. But when you have tools like that, Strick, you can catch lightning in a bottle for 17 games at a time.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to hear from you guys. Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Those on the stream as well, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Love to hear your thoughts on which quarterback that you feel has the best shot to emerge and possibly do something special in their rookie year. We got to take a break right now because we have on the other side of this break, we have Evan Bland that'll be joining us here on the block. We're going to talk a little bit about some baseball and also get into some other things with recruiting, and he may delve into football a little bit. Evan's so versatile. He's capable of delving into anything right there. But we are on the block. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. 93.7 The Ticket at ticketfm.com. We are on the block. We'll be right back.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit, and you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour, an opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555, John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Farrell's 10-Week Challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're ready to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're here on the block on a Wednesday, joined at this time as we are every Wednesday by Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, for the first time, and it feels like too long, Nebraska didn't lose a midweek game. It didn't win it, but didn't lose it at least. That's a half step in the right direction. Can we call it that at least?
That's true. Yeah, they didn't lose it, and they have the chance to win, 2 games in one day in a few weeks when they, in theory, resume that thing against Creighton. So, yeah, baby steps forward, and it didn't hurt their RPI this time.
We like not hurting the RPI. Jumping off of that RPI question, I saw some people on Twitter saying that Nebraska's postseason chances are win the Big Ten tournament, and that's it. If they don't do that, it's going to be really tough for Nebraska. Do you think that's fair, or do you think Nebraska has a better shot than maybe some national prognostications are giving them of making the tournament without winning the conference?
It's funny. I'm going in depth on that today, actually, for a story, and I can tell you that from what I have researched, where Nebraska is in the RPI, right around 110, I think, as of today. It's not quite auto birth or nothing, but it's awfully close. And there aren't a lot of examples in recent college baseball, at least at the level where Nebraska is in terms of the Big Ten, where a team has been able to make up that much ground that quickly. And for people who don't know, when it comes to the RPI in college baseball, typically you need to be in the top 40 or so to get an at-large spot and be on the right side of the bubble. Rutgers last year was maybe the first or second team out. They probably should have been in. I think their final RPI was like 43 or 44. So that's sort of the gap that Nebraska is looking to close. And when you have 20 regular season games left, including the completion of the Creighton game, and then you feel pretty good that Nebraska is going to be in the Big Ten tournament, you're talking about anywhere from 20, maybe 26 left to figure some things out. And what going against them right now is there just aren't a lot of games left that move the needle. Now, an exception is this weekend where they play at Iowa, which is a top 60 RPI team. They play next month, which is a similar team guard. But a lot of basically everybody else is a quadrant 3 or 4 team, meaning they're in the bottom half of the country. And so, realistically, if you're talking about Nebraska being an at-large team, you pretty much have to go somewhere in the neighborhood of like 18-3 down the stretch just to get in that conversation. The closest comparison I could find in doing some research was 2018 Purdue, and they around this time in 2018 they were a mid-80s RPI team, and they finish, I think it was 18-3. They make the finals of the Big Ten tournament, and then they get an at-large bid at like a 35 RPI. So, I mean, that's what it took for them to close the gap. 80 spot, and Nebraska's beyond 100. So clearly the auto berth would be the top way to go about it right now. It's not impossible, but that's probably a lot less likely at this point.
Looking at the schedule, how high is it fair to hope that Nebraska's RPI can rise? Can it get that 50 spot jump that Purdue did, or are we talking more 20, 30 spots?
Well, it's all about the context, right? Like Purdue, when they did it in 2018, they beat a couple of ranked Big Ten teams along the way that were pretty decent. Indiana was decent. I think Michigan State maybe was the other one. And so they were able to, I think, go 5-1 in those games, and you make up a ton of ground. So like clearly the best path for Nebraska is if you go on the road and you were to sweep Iowa or Maryland and maybe win that other series, you're probably talking about a pretty big jump there. But then again, you have these midweek games that are just killer if you drop them. I mean, they still have North Dakota State coming up, another game with Omaha, South Dakota State, another game with Creighton. Like those at this point in the year essentially become no-win situations for Nebraska, because if you lose, it really dings your resume. And if you win, it really does nothing. And it might even actually hurt you a little bit in that instance too. Just like they swept Northwestern last weekend, and Northwestern was so bad that they dropped in the RPI anyway. So, again, it's not impossible if you go on some kind of a white hot run here down the stretch, but it's not like the SEC or some of your other major conferences, the Big 12, the ACC, where you see those teams also lose midweek games. I mean, Vanderbilt falls to Indiana State last night, for example. LSU loses to Louisiana. But what those teams have is the ability then to go into the weekend and play, probably 4 or 5 other ranked weekend series down the stretch. And so they can make up for it a lot easier than Nebraska can. So there's really just not much margin for error at this point for Nebraska, even though a lot of the statistics and a lot of the individual stars that they have would tell you that this is a postseason caliber team.
So college basketball went away from the RPI not too long ago. Baseball still uses the RPI. Volleyball still uses it. Do you think baseball moves to its own sort of net ranking, or do you think it's stuck in the RPI for some years to come yet?
I think I haven't heard anything that would suggest that they're moving away from it. And I think for baseball, it makes sense because of just the sheer number of games that you play, right? Like you can't necessarily put too much weight on any single baseball game because of how variable it can be. But when you're talking about, a 55 game season by the end, you have a pretty good sense of like who's good and who's not. And of course the RPI, it factors in not just your record, but your opponent's record and your opponent's record. So I think there's a depth there that's probably more valuable at the macro level than say basketball, where you're talking just about, 20, 30 games, whatever it might be, that they're evaluating at a given point. So I don't see them necessarily going away from it. I do think there's a tendency from the NCAA selection committee at times to put too much emphasis on the RPI. They've stated many times over the years that it's a tool, but it's not the end all be all. But I think you look at the history of teams and sort of the teams that get in and the teams that don't, it would suggest pretty strongly that, RPI is a central tool for their evaluation.
Last thing with baseball then, Evan, we mentioned the game with Creighton suspended last night. They're going to play still a full 9-inning game that last time after they finish out these last 2 innings and change, or will it be a 7-inning game?
I don't know that that's been determined yet. It was kind of a weird deal last night. I mean, Creighton comes out and says, yeah, this will resume on, I think it's May 9th when the teams are supposed to play back in Omaha. Nebraska wasn't willing to say that yet. They said at a time yet to be determined. So I think they're still figuring out, when that will happen, let alone what that next game will look like. If you stick with the 9, if you go to the 7, I'm sure weather will play a factor at that point too. So I don't know that that's necessarily known at this point, but it's not it's not a tie, right? Like there was in San Diego when you're talking about flights and these teams not meeting up. I mean, these are teams that are 60 miles apart, and so you would certainly think with still a month of regular season baseball that they'd be able to find a time to squeeze in the rest of this one.
Talking Husker baseball with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Switching gears to Husker football now. Spring game this weekend, Evan. And now that there's going to be, maybe a whole lot of huge takeaways, anything set in stone, obviously through spring. But as you watch the game on Saturdays, you look ahead to it. Are there any aspects of what Nebraska football wants to be under Matt Rule that you're most interested to see at least the vision for based off of what we're shown in the spring game?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot that's of interest in this game. I mean, first of all, it looks like it's going to be an actual football game, and we haven't seen that in quite a while. Where maybe the first half was no contact, or quarterbacks were in green jerseys. I mean, just the fact that quarterbacks, it looks like they're going to be live for the game. I can't think of the last time when that was the case for Nebraska, and so that immediately allows you to better evaluate what they're doing, what that competition's like. I think it allows you to better evaluate how the defense can react, because we've heard in some of the scrimmages and some of the workouts that Nebraska has done this spring that's where the offense has really been able to make its move, has been with the quarterback run game. So how does that look? I think it's been sort of an in progress sort of pursuit this spring for coaches, especially on defense, to figure out where guys go. Are they linebackers? Are they edge rushers? Are they, where do they line up? We're going to get a sense of that finally. Positionally, what does that look like? So I think that's interesting. But to me, it's the thing that's the most interesting is the quarterback situation. I mean, we've seen Jeff Sims film from Georgia Tech, but what does he look like at Memorial Stadium running what Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield want to run? What does Heinrich Harburg look like now that he's sort of received a second chance with this new, as they've been in love with his running ability and his toughness? What does Richard Torres look like? We haven't seen him really at all in a live situation at Nebraska, and everyone's talked about his arm strength and kind of what a little bit more mobile maybe than people give him credit for. So I think down the list and say that there's a lot of interest in how these quarterbacks perform. And then you put all of it sort of against the backdrop of, oh, by the way, the transfer portal's open through April 30th, and Nebraska is still roughly 12 or 13 scholarship players over. So I think how the game goes will also inform how this roster continues to sort of winnow down in the off season here moving forward. So lots of really interesting layers to it, and I think it'll be a lot more entertaining, and maybe there's a lot more to take away from it than there have been in previous years.
On the quarterbacks, who is Saturday more important for? Jeff Sims, who is in the competition, thick of it for quarterback one, or guys that at least right now seem further down the depth chart in Harburg and Smothers and Purdy and Torres?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally for Nebraska, what you probably are hoping for is that Jeff Sims is clearly the guy, that he's clearly has the foot speed and has shored up, the ball control stuff that's maybe plagued him a little bit previously in his career. I think you would hope that would be the case, and that he's your clear guy, and that sort of sets up a competition between him and Casey Thompson when he heals up here into the summer and the fall. But yeah, I mean, I think there's this sort of crowd behind those two, and I would still consider Thompson sort of 1B maybe with Sims. But what does that crowd look like after that? We've seen Harburg in the spring game a couple of years ago, and he was actually pretty impressive in that particular exhibition. So what does he look like? Chubba Purdy, Logan Smothers is still banged up, but he's a guy who's really been committed to the program. I don't know that he's necessarily looking to leave. And then, like we said, Torres and his return to health, now that this is his second go around as a college player. What does that look like? I think you probably do want some quality depth, but again, I do feel like how the quarterbacks are used, how they perform will inform what that attrition looks like at that position and the other positions coming out into the following week.
Was it Harburg that threw that walk-off Hail Mary in a spring game?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He was pretty impressive in that game. And you think about his high school career at Kearney Catholic. I mean, he was a passer at that time. And you think about, especially at that level of football in Nebraska, typically are asked to run. And he could have run and put up big running numbers, but he was a thrower there. So I'll be fascinated to see how much Nebraska likes him on Saturday, running the ball versus throwing the ball too. I think that, again, just sort of further informs what their intent is with that position and how they evaluate Harburg moving forward.
The guys protecting the quarterbacks on the offensive line, the reports from Donovan Raiola and guys that talk says that the offensive line was slimmer. Is that just as simple as they're cutting bad weight, getting more muscular, or is that a concerted effort to get more athletic offensive linemen to, get further upfield out on the edges more?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I mean, Matt Rule has said it a couple times this spring. There are a few central sort of goals that they had this spring, whether that's coming together as a team and culture-wise and in installing the schemes. But the third one that he's repeated a couple times is they wanted to be more flexible and improve their mobility. And I think that starts with the line, certainly when you're talking about winning leverage and moving your man and being the lower person, in terms of leverage to move that other person on the other side. So yeah, I'll be curious to see. I mean, he's mentioned guys like Bryce Benhart, who he's come out and said, yeah, I think he's an NFL player, and he's been a guy who struggled at Nebraska, with some of the previous strength and conditioning developments that he's had. So I'll be fascinated to see how much of a different player he is. What does Turner Corcoran look like in maybe more of a slimmed down setting as well? So I think that'll be fascinating. What does Nuri Nwili look like, a year removed from when we've last seen him, really a year and a half, when you talk about his suspension? It's a position that certainly relies on technique and toughness and being older and stronger. But the way that Nebraska wants to build these guys, I do think is different from what it had done under the previous staff, and will be interesting to see if that's evident even as soon as this weekend.
Last thing for you, Evan, if there's an offense versus defense matchup you're interested to see on Saturday, which players or which position groups are those?
That's a good one. I want to see what the tight ends can do personally. I think sort of that intermediate battle between, say, a Thomas Fidone and Eric Gilbert, maybe a Janarin Bonner. What do those guys do at sort of the second level against a guy like Luke Reimer, or against a guy like MJ Sherman or Chief Borders? Like, I think there's a lot of intrigue there, because on paper, certainly Nebraska's upgraded from an athletic standpoint at that second level. And when you talk about the tight ends, if Gilbert and Fidone are indeed two of Nebraska's better playmakers, then what do those packages look like when they're on the field? So I think just the upgrade in athleticism, I think, will be most evident at those two positions. So what does that look like? Who wins those battles? How much does each respective unit sort of lean on those guys to set the pace? I think that'll be a lot of fun to watch on Saturday.
It's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald with us here on the block. Follow him on Twitter. Check out omaha.com to make sure you see what Evan's up to for Husker baseball and football coverage. Evan, as always, we appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the spring game.
Thanks, Austin. You too.
Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald with us. We'll step aside. On the other side, we're playing the shootout. $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings on the line for you if you can take down Eric Strickland in a game of trivia. We're going Major League Baseball style this time. We started the show talking a little bit of baseball. We're going to get a little further into it with some leaders, whether it's teams or players. So the shootout comes your way on the other side. 402-464-5685. Take on Strickland Trivia next.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, It has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery Lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com/Easter.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick, brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
That's right. Even though we are stream only right now, we're still playing the Shootout with Strick. Still got your chance to win $15 at Buffalo Wings and Rings here to wrap up the first hour. Man, Strick, we talked about Mary Ellen's to start the hour. We talked about Buffalo Wings and Rings to end the hour. Gets me feeling some type of way.
Oh, man. The wings are phenomenal. The chicken sandwiches are phenomenal.
Underrated.
It is. It's very underrated. But it's also a good time. I love it when we had the opportunity to go over there and, just remotely work. The atmosphere.
You say we, good. I missed it.
You were
Not
there?
bad.
Weren't
no.
you there?
I was there for Super Bowl. I wasn't there for March Madness.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
It was a great time. The people was there, showed up, great giveaways. Sorensen put together a great giveaway, and the people were just, enthusiastic about it. It's good. It's good when we get a chance to go over there, man. They do a great job of taking care of the people.
Speaking of greatness, as we're doing MLB trivia here on the Shootout with Strick, again, 402-464-5685, the number to call. Clayton Kershaw, the Los Angeles Dodgers, picked up career win number 200 last night.
That's amazing.
Dating back to, I think I just saw the 1920s, there's one qualified pitcher in baseball history of 200 wins and a sub 250 career ERA, and that's him. He has been so incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
Fell off a little bit the last couple years, at least from the national radar with his back injury.
Yeah.
But Clayton Kershaw is an all-time great.
He is an all-time great, but how do you feel about when it really matters?
So
that's big ones.
I don't mind him.
Okay.
I really don't. I know what his reputation is, and I know that he did falter. He gave up some runs, gave up some really big hits that lost the Dodgers some games.
Yeah.
What I looked at, I had this discussion like right after they won the World Series. And if you look back at how Clayton Kershaw was used in the postseason, it wasn't just as a starter. When he started, he was normal. He was good. He was still Clayton Kershaw. It was when Clayton Kershaw said, "Yep, coach, I'm good," pitched on short rest, when he was brought in out of the bullpen, that he gave up the runs. He struggled the most. And again, they bring him in the highest leverage situations because he's Clayton Kershaw. You trust him to get it done. And I think in a lot of cases, a lesser man would say, nope, I did my start. I'm on my routine. It's someone else's problem. So at least I, for one, commend Clayton Kershaw for stepping up, not to the plate, but to the mound in this case, I suppose, and taking on that challenge in a situation that not a lot of guys thrive. I mean, Madison Bumgarner did it for the Giants in 2014, and I'm still upset about that. But it's so difficult for, starting pitchers to just shift back to the bullpen on short rest in the toughest of situations.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of his failures came, in situations like those.
Right.
So
that's respectable.
I'm still fine with Clayton Kershaw in the big moments.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I think he's a tremendous pitcher. Very dominant. He's got great stuff. Yeah, long time great. And you just put him in a category of rare air. So that even makes it more impressive.
And he's been doing it so consistently for so long. He came in, was really good, best pitcher in baseball for a couple years. And yeah, they're younger guys now, but he's still, I'll have to find the exact tweet and the numbers, but if you break his career down into a couple of 8-year sections, he's thrown fewer innings the most recent 8 years, again, because of those back injuries that I mentioned. But when he has pitched, when he's been on the bump, he's been just as effective. His whip, his walks and hits per innings pitched, is essentially the same. His strikeouts per 9 has like a tenth of a point difference. Again, this is a guy that did it early, peaked at an all-time great level, and has sustained. So to me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, there's no question. I don't think that's even a discussion. I think that's going to definitely be the case. The thing that I look at baseball, I still look at, there's such a discrepancy when you're talking about money. Like just the teams that have the ability to spread the cashola around, I seem to have, a lot of great success. Now, there are some that just like, I think when you look at the Tampa Bay Rays or something like that, they really do a good job of doing it out of their, their minor league systems and out of trades,
savvy trades,
and finding, there's teams that did it. Like, I even think that, my Marlins, when they won it, they were very similar. They did throw some money at it. Now, there are teams that in a year's time, or they're saying, okay, we have a 3-year window here with, this, player, this or that pitching staff, and they throw the bag at it to go all in. And then all of a sudden they just start trading assets like crazy after they're able to get what they need out of it. What do you think about the Astros and their longevity and now what they've been able to amass, over the Yankees and, just all that, what's your thought?
The Astros, to me, are what the Cubs wanted to be. The Astros were the first ones to, do the 76er style tanking in baseball, tear it all down to the studs, and it really worked out for them. They have the reputation with the trash cans and everything, and they deserve that reputation through the end of time, but they weren't doing that all the way up through the minor leagues. They built with talent. They were savvy. They made those moves on the margins, and they've been able to sustain it, where Chicago's taken some steps back. I think Baltimore is following in what Houston's doing, but we were talking to the crossover with the happy hour guys. It was Texas's division for a long time, the way the Rangers were run. And the Angels had some good years in there. But Houston came from, I remember when they were in the NL Central, the 6-team National League Central. They move over to the AL West. They really struggle. they tear it down. They get savvy leadership in. They get, as Rob Manfred called it, just a hunk of metal out of it. But to win a world championship, win 100 games like they have, and really be the bully of that division, I begrudgingly respect it.
I'll tell you who I'm really happy for, and that's Dusty Baker.
Yes.
Come close, on the verge, great Giants runs, and just wasn't able.
Had a couple good teams with the Cubs that fell short.
Yeah, just wasn't able to get over the hump, and I'm really just happy for him. Elder statesman, he's just a tremendous man.
Sounds like an awesome dude.
Great player. Yeah, just I'm really happy for him as well. So.
All right, we have a tough crowd here on Shootout, so we're gonna do what we did a few days ago. The third texter or commenter with the correct answer of over/under will win the $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. So again, I just need an over or an under for you once I get Strick's answer. Here's the question for you, Strick. Tampa Bay currently leads the American League East, and they have the best run differential in all of baseball. What is Tampa Bay's current run differential?
7.
For the season.
Oh, you mean overall?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
I thought average, not average.
Yeah, so how many more runs has Tampa Bay scored
every
than
team
its
that they
opponents
played
so far? So far this season. Season-long run differential.
No, there's an average based on every team. Okay, that's a great question. Where do you see this man over here? Rico, get off the line. Okay, now total. How many games have they played?
Tampa Bay has played, I just closed out of it on accident. Let me see here. They have played about 20 games.
20 games.
Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, so Tampa Bay right now has played 19 games. What is their season-long run differential?
Okay, if we do it like that, 66.
Okay, text line. That's your number, 66. Say over or say under. The third texter with the right answer that says over or under, we will let you know that you are the winner of the $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. The number again from Strick, 66. Say over, say under. Texter 3 with the right answer gets the Stricken. That'll put a bow on hour number 1. Coming up in hour number 2, we will talk a little bit of college football. ESPN's FPI rankings come out yesterday, what stands out to us, and then the fun conversation we'll get to Samaki Walker talking the Lakers, talking playoffs, and whatever else is on Strick's mind, wherever that goes.
Yeah, we'll definitely run through it. It's going to be fun to get with Mock. Mock has a great mind about basketball. I just love the career arc that he had, and then where we came in to where he ended, to be able to land a championship. Excited to talk to my friend.
Absolutely. We'll do that. Hour 2 on the block comes your way next.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership. Sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
We are back. Second hour on the block. I know we've given away some Stricken, but we'll give that after we finish this segment. Going into the next segment, we'll let you know who actually won the Stricken. But there's a question that came on the streamline first before we get started on the second hour, talking about NCAA football and the FIPA, the FPI. The index rankings, which, gives you a little bit about what they're projecting as far as how many wins, losses, and who's this and who's won and two. Is it too early? There's still transfer portal action that's probably going to jump on. Like, there may be some people to include there may be even a number. We ain't gonna talk about it right now because we got other stuff to deal with. But there may be a 5-star leaving Georgia. I mean, so that's the kind of craziness that goes on out here. A 5-star quarterback that may be leaving Georgia. But we're going to talk a little bit about this the streamline right now. I can't see exactly who it is, but there's the question. It is said that in European basketball, the fans are very crazy. There are none in the NBA. Fans cheer, they jump, light smoke flares, and firecrackers and curse. I would say that I think there's a little bit of that goes on in NBA games as well. Sometimes there'll be fights that jump off. I just don't think it's to the level of European, because I think European has a culture of it. I think a lot of that culture stems from, football, not American football, soccer. And they're jumping on stands. I mean, to the point where there are a lot of Premier League type of stadiums that need to be revamped, because they're, I remember, I can't remember exactly where it was. One section of a stadium collapsed by the fans just going nuts and jumping up and down and having a ball. I mean, they're going to be cheering. There's a lot of there's all kinds of stuff, cheers, chants, and but lighting flares, now that's a new one. That's one that I know would not happen at an NBA game. I understand now. I think you're getting the revamping of Sacramento with the cowbells. That's what they used to do back in my time. They're re-bringing that back, and I love what they're doing with the beam. I think that's dope. They hit the beam, boom, it shoots up into the atmosphere. I think creating those types of cultures are dope, man. I really do. I think it brings interest to the game in a different way for the fans.
Very different fandom cultures across Europe and America. I mean, soccer absolutely is the one that I think spawned, sports fanaticism culture the way it is in Europe. Americans just haven't ever been like that. I mean, you get a little bit of it. I've gone to a couple, or just one MLS game, seen a couple, and it, I think, is closer to that environment in some cases, minus the flares and everything. But the soccer game I went to, I was in the supporter section, and they were going the whole game long with chants and cheers and everything.
Waving flags, jumping on each other.
Yeah. And I think you can do that in soccer because it's so boring. So you have to entertain yourself somehow. But no, I 40% kid. Whereas with, football, with baseball, with basketball, there's not nearly as much downtime between anything exciting happening necessarily. So there's not as much time to get stuff like that going organically. The thing I see a lot in American sports is the wave. That needs to be banned. It's stupid. Get rid of it. Be done with it, at least while play is going on. But I still think there are rowdy fans. There are electric environments that would rival anything that's going on over in Europe. But I'm glad there's not, the flare lighting or the fighting that's nearly as common in Europe as there is in America.
What about the beer chain thing that a lot of people are starting to spawn off now, taking all the cups and just starting to build this big beer chain? I thought it was pretty cool. It actually, I saw it happen when I was over in Ireland watching Nebraska play. It was cool getting the Northwestern fans joining up with the Husker fans to create this long beer chain. It was kind of fun, but
I don't understand the point, but it's also harmless.
Yeah,
I don't get security busting it up.
No, but actually some people have kind of canceled it.
The CWS beach ball every year.
They start throwing it. Yeah. I just look at it from a standpoint of, the people are just trying to really just support and have that kind of just hardened support. I mean, I think it gets crazy once the melee start jumping off. I mean, they got to figure out a way to kind of keep the separations there. I mean, you thought Philly fans and you thought, some of them were bad. You go over there and really have a rivalry going on, it can really jump off over there. You got to be careful. So
do you think fans in America, I mean, I know Philly gets a really bad rap. I know Boston to some degree, have had some instances, even Utah recently. Detroit. Do you think fans are worse today than they used to be, or do you think it's just reported on more?
I think it's just more scrutinized. I think it's you have social media, you can kind of see it, pop it off, a little bit more than you probably had. You definitely with some fights and stuff in the stands, I'm sure, back in the day. I just think it's probably more reported on now more than ever. But I don't want to go too far on that tangent because I just thought it was interesting with the question that was asked, and I really want to get into this FIPA situation, but because we really could have went down a tangent on this one, but I think this FIPA the football index is something that is important to get off into. The ESPN FPI rankings, they came out yesterday, and let's talk about kind of how you view it, how you see it. I will be quite honest, and I will say I'm shocked that the Ohio State Buckeyes are number one
overall of anyone in the country.
I am absolutely stunned and shocked because Michigan finds himself, I think, what, 6? They find themselves 6, and Ohio State hasn't even, been able to hold their jockstrap for the last 2 years, and that just still blows me away. You're still in the hunt for a quarterback. You lose one of the best quarterbacks that's about to go in the draft. Who is that guy?
Between McCord and Brown, I think it is, and we have to wait and see.
That's what I'm saying. So you're going to lay your foundation on the fact of an unknown because of the premier importance of a quarterback in the college football game is so important that I just don't know if I can ride out with it. Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. How do you feel about Ohio State being number one? They got them winning almost 12 games. They've got them rated at 12 games, maybe one loss. That's throwing me for a loop. I think the Crimson Tide's in a very similar situation. A lot of losses in the areas, a lot of transfers. So they're trying to still kind of find their way. I think Georgia, how do you not? I don't care. I don't care. You got to beat the beast. And until you do, that's disrespectful. Matter of fact, if I'm Kirby Smart and that crew, Austin, I'm using that as absolute fodder. I'm putting it all, I'm pastering it on everything that those guys see that you've been disrespected to this level. Now go out and prove them wrong. That's fodder for me.
So as you look at these top 3 teams here, Strick, in Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia, Ohio State's FPI, their total ranking is at a 31.5. So they have a 3.3 point differential between them and Alabama at second place. Bama's only 0.8 ahead of Georgia in third place. So they're saying the gap between Ohio State and Alabama is the gap then between essentially LSU down at number 4 and Clemson or Notre Dame down at 9-10 range. That's how big a gap they're saying is between Ohio State, which, like you said, hasn't beat Michigan the last 2 years with a quarterback question. And everyone else.
Yeah, it's very odd.
They have the number 1 preseason offense, the number 3 defense, or number 4 defense, I think I saw. Bama has, I think, the number 2 defense, the number 3 offense, and Georgia's number 1 defense, number 4 offense, according to these rankings. So it's really, pick your flavor. Which do you want? Do you want the offensive juggernaut in Ohio State? You want the defensive juggernaut in Georgia? Or do you want the best of both worlds in Alabama?
Yeah.
And the thing that Alabama has going for it, Strick, Georgia, 1-2 in a row. They're the machine now. Hard to win 2 in a row, even harder to win 3 in a row. Yeah. Ohio State hasn't won its own division in a few years. So I think they have a little bit of the underdog role, but it's hard to say they're the underdog when they're being rated number 1 like this. Bama didn't win its own division last year, still won double-digit games. This is, I think, the most we've slept on Alabama collectively in a long time, and that scares me.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's absolute fodder for both of those SEC teams, but we do continue to see SEC dominance at the top. Big Ten has continued to get the benefits of the doubt more than any conference that I've ever seen in a long time. I even think that Texas is getting a super benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to figure out where that came from. So that's an anomaly situation to me. I will, as I look at this, I'll tell you this. A disappointment again is Notre Dame. I don't think they'll find themselves in the top 15 by the time it's all said and done. Go ahead.
Getting Hartman was big for them.
Okay.
They got to fill out around him. Hartman transferred in from Wake Forest.
Yeah.
He's really good. He's going to be probably a mid-round draft pick next year. I would say
you lose a tight end.
Lose Mayer, the tight end. Kyron Williams, the running back. I don't know. Notre Dame's always going to be rated this high to start the year, but I'm with you. I think top 15 is a ceiling, but I don't think top 10.
Yeah, I would agree. I'll tell you a team, though, to keep your eye on and watch is Penn State. I'm just gonna throw it at you. I'm gonna let you go nuts on it because that's just the one that I'm saying keep your watch out.
Penn State is my sleeper to win that division. And it's hard to call them a sleeper when they're as talented as they are. But Ohio State with quarterback questions, we're hearing that this is Michigan's most talented team under Jim Harbaugh coming in this season after a college football playoff appearance. But Michigan pooped the bed against TCU. And credit TCU for that. They played really well. But I think Ohio State and Michigan have been duking it out now for the last couple of years. Penn State's got an awesome tandem of running backs.
Yeah.
I think Drew Aller is going to be legit. It might take him a couple games to find a rhythm. I like him a lot better than I like Sean Clifford. I know they're losing Joey Porter Jr. and Parker Washington. Washington, the receiver, Porter Jr., the CB. But I just have this feeling about Penn State.
Yeah, something about it.
They've lost the last couple of years really only to Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know why, Strick, but I have a feeling about Penn State this year.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of questions about whether or not they can win the big game, whether it be for coaching or I think a lot of it had to do with Clifford for me. It was like I just had no buy-in on Clifford. That's just me. I thought he was a tremendous runner, thought he had skills, but he didn't seem to be a gamer. Yeah. The next one that I'm surprised that is that high. I'm surprised and disappointed is by the next two. Oklahoma, I'm surprised they're that high to start, but they're going to get the benefit of the doubt a lot of the times in the Big 12. But the Tennessee Volunteers, I think they're a little bit higher than that. To me, I think they should be topping into the top 10. I would probably reverse if I was a betting man. I would reverse Tennessee to start and Notre Dame at a minimum.
I think you're onto something there. Yeah. I need to see a little bit more from Tennessee because last year, right now, is their lightning in a bottle year. Who knows what the ceiling is for Tennessee if Hooker doesn't get hurt?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're better than Georgia again.
No.
But that could have been an even more special year than it was.
Heupel's got it going.
He's got a brain on it.
Yeah.
He does. So I think Tennessee will be good. But right now, the burden of proof is on them to prove it again, to go out, find another quarterback, and take that step forward. To replace Jalen Hyatt, who was a stud, maybe being slept on a little bit in NFL draft conversation. So Tennessee, I could see them a spot or two higher. But Oklahoma, they went 6-7 last year, Strick. 6-7.
That's what's throwing me for the loop.
They were the second best team in their own state. Oklahoma State was better than them, more consistent than them, tougher than them.
For sure.
Venables, year 2 as a head coach.
Right.
I know you get Dylan Gabriel back, and he's fine. He's solid, but I don't know if you trust him to move the needle that far.
Right. I agree.
Oklahoma's a top half of the Big 12 team and nothing more right now.
You're relying on your recruiting. You're relying on the recruiting class and hoping that those guys are able to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that now. I can tell you somebody that I think is going to be a surprise. I'm still not sold on the Oregon Ducks, but you know how some people feel about that. I'm not sold on them. They got to show me something. But Florida State,
Jordan Travis, stud.
I'm buying when you're talking about Florida State, a resurgence of the I want to see it. So yeah, I really am excited about watching them play this year.
Do you take Florida State or Clemson in the ACC?
I'm gonna go Florida State.
Really? Okay.
You can never count out Clemson. I mean, they're always going to find a way. I think their defense usually has been their Stapleton. It kind of, they lost their way with that. Then you had DJ Uliungalele, who just
where'd he go?
Not the guy.
Where'd he transfer to?
Oh shoot, where did he transfer to?
He's wearing the same color. I'll give you that much.
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Yeah, that's right. That might be okay. That might be a little softer, a little bit more
West
open
Coast
style.
Guy.
Yeah, that might be a better fit for him. Can the Utah Utes duplicate the physicality that they had last year?
Utah was the team I was on the bandwagon for to make the playoff.
Yeah,
I was all in on Utah. I like Kyle Whittingham as a coach. Cam Rising, the quarterback, is a baller, certified baller. And they're losing Dalton Kincaid, who's their tight end. Some concerns in the NFL in terms of his frame, but in terms of college tight ends, there weren't many on Dalton Kincaid's level. So Utah, I think, has a really high floor. I don't think they should be anything worse than 8-4, 9-3.
Yeah.
But they haven't busted through that ceiling yet. I mean, USC still has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
UCLA, I think, has a higher ceiling, maybe slightly lower floor. Oregon, I think, will be in the similar record range, but do it completely differently than Utah. And who knows what's going on at Washington?
Right. Last two I'm going to throw at you, Austin, is I can't believe that they cracked the top 20, and that's Wisconsin. I have no idea where they came up with that one, but I'm not that guy. But the other one that's throwing me for a curveball that I'm swinging at, and it's in the dirt, is Florida Gators. They don't even have a quarterback. They couldn't even score in their spring game. So I'm trying to figure out where they're going to get, let alone 7 wins, 8 wins from to be in the top 20.
Right. I'm completely with you there on Florida. Billy Napier's got some questions to answer coming up here in year 2, starting at the quarterback position, losing Anthony Richardson. FBI projects Florida to go 7-5, essentially. That's not a top 20 team.
Right.
You're just 7-5. Wisconsin, they have projected at somewhere between 8-4 and 9-3, which would be a very workmanlike Wisconsin year. But here's the thing. I know better than to bet against Wisconsin. They have a track record of being successful in the Big Ten West. Strick, that's a program undergoing change with Fickle coming in, with Longo coming in, unsettled at the quarterback position. Do they give Braylon Allen the ball enough this year? We still have to see. So I get the direction Wisconsin wants to head. I just don't know if that's a top 20 team, especially in the preseason with all those questions.
Big facts. That's going to do it for us. Let us know your thoughts, anything that, any questions, comments, concerns that you may have with regards to the FPI. Did they get it right? Or have they dropped the ball and they're just, they're Snoop Dogging it over there a little bit? And the computers are Snoop Dogging it too. They didn't caught a little bit of a little whiff of that, drinking some Kool-Aid. Right. So we don't know. 402-464-5685. You can let us know there on the Sauter Heyman text line. But coming up next, we're gonna have our boy, my boy, soon to be Austin's boy as well. Samaki Walker will be joining us. We'll talk a little bit of NBA talk when we get right back. 93.7 The Ticket.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism. Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yes, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership. Sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. We understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit. And you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour. An opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain, and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yay. We back on the block. E Strick, Austin Orman here. Had a little situation. We've got Allo in the building. Allo has just hooked us up, man. If you don't have Allo, man, you're doing yourself a disservice right now. I mean, they get after it. They got a whole crew came through. I mean, they've been vacuuming the floors. They got all of the channels hooked up. Even when they had some problems in the ceiling, they were still working it out. But I made a mistake. So here's the crazy thing about what, when you get older, Austin. So you're not there yet. You still got a little bit of time. But when you get a little bit older, sometimes you just kind of multitasking, but your multitasking is not effective. It's better to just kind of hone in, focus in on the task at hand, because your multitasking gets all mucked up, right?
Sure.
Not
I've
the
been
other
there
word,
even in my
mucked up,
youth.
right? Okay, you didn't have to dump that because I said mucked up. I didn't say anything else. Okay,
Correct.
So I'm texting Samaki, coordinating everything, letting them know I'm sending them the stream, the location to be able to get in, and I'm talking to someone, and I'm thinking I'm talking to you because remember we had a little bit of adjustment. We had to move Evan Bland because Samaki wanted the time. I had to move Evan Bland. And then the next thing you know, I'm thinking I'm talking to you about moving the promo information. I'm talking to him. So when he's asking me a question, he says, so is that going to be 3:30 my time question? Remember, it was 2, it would have been our time 3. So I'm thinking I'm talking to him, and I was not talking to him. I mean, talking to you, I was talking to him. And so he happened to be out and about. He thought it was going to be 3:30 his time, which is another few hours from now. So he said he had just gotten home. He's looking to kind of go in, get tapped in on the stream. But in the meantime, in between time, we're going to continue to talk about if we get him, we do. If we don't, we'll set him for another time. But hopefully he'll be able to tap in time. So let's talk a little bit about NBA basketball at this point. Let's start off with the Hawks. Last night, the Hawks got with the Celtics again. And they got drubbed once again. It's something that I said. I'll tell you the key thing. I told you I'll never buy in. I just cannot buy in on Trae Young. To take me there. And then I said, DeJounte Murray is the one that I really kind of like. And he's the one that really, 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 I think, showed up for them in a big way. Pretty good night for him. But they ultimately came up short. Young 9 for 22, 2 for 8 from 3, 24 points, solid. But then here we go, 6 assists, 5 turnovers. That's the part that I'm talking about. When you need your primary ball handling guy outside of DeJounte Murray handling the ball, he needs to be up in that 8, 9, 10 range with maybe 2, 3 at worst, if you want to play winning basketball. 5 turnovers, a minus 18 is not going to get it done against one of the best teams, especially at home in the jungle.
Absolutely not. The issue with Trae Young's turnovers, I think some of it stems from size, right? If they blitz him, Boston's just bigger and longer than he is. I think some of it comes, though, from the mental aspect of it, trying to do too much, forcing too much, trying to be too creative, because Trae Young at the top of his game, one of the most creative passers we've seen in a long time. We know he has the reads in him, but I don't think Trae Young always adjusts back to the scouting report. He'll try to force it, and he just can't get away with it.
Yeah.
And it'd be one thing, if he was on the top of his game offensively, making the right reads, hitting shots, but he's so small. Everything he gets you on offense, he gives back on defense. Even if he's guarding, Derek White, who's not, a premier offensive threat, premier offensive player, what Boston has done really well, and what we've seen other teams do really well, for the last few years where the NBA is going, is they'll just hunt that guy. Whoever it is that Trae Young is guarding, they'll use as the screener to get the switch and attack Trae Young from there.
Right. Yeah, and so it's a disadvantage there. Again, as we talk about this series, this game down 2-0 now, who did I say was my unsung hero, and who would that be? Do you remember?
You said you're a big fan of D. White.
Look at his numbers. D. White once again goes nuts. I love the way that they're playing this unit with Tatum, Horford at the center position. It's a scary unit because Horford's capabilities of stretching you out and shooting, as he shot 2 for 4 on the night. But you got to get there. You can't just leave him open. You got to get to him. And Derek White, White has been playing phenomenal. Derek White has been, if he can make them go a long way if he continues to play at this level.
We got to make sure we scrub this from the record real quick because we got a Laker on the line with us right now, Stricky.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
What up?
Yo, you got to go off mute, Mark. You're on mute. You muted out. Come on, take yourself off mute, man.
Let's see how we could do this.
No, we can't. You there? You good? Say something.
My mic. Yep.
Yeah, you muted out. Maybe come back in, or you got to take it off of mute.
It says I'm unmuted.
Yeah, because we don't have you muted. We don't have you muted here.
Really? Hold on.
There you go. There you go. Oh, shoot. We'll get him back on.
Whatever he did right at the very end worked. We were there. We had it.
Yeah, we had it. But we'll continue on with the conversation, and we'll bring him back in. But again, like I said, Derek White, if he continues to play at this level, Austin, he can take him a long way.
He's a perfect role player. He's a guard that can, defend up the positions just a little bit, but he makes the right play a lot, offensively and defensively. So he is just a perfect cog in the machine, even if he's not the machine himself.
We got Mark back. Mark, what's up, man?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Let's do it.
There you go, my guy. Hey, listen, I had to confess, man. I told him it was not you. It was all Stricky. It was me, as a point guard should. I should have passed the ball to your breadbasket and not at your feet, my guy. That was my fault. I dropped the ball on that one.
It's all good, baby. I'm picking up. I'm going to finish it anyway. Let's go.
As you should. Yeah, we were just talking about right now, just getting into the playoff basketball. I have been sharing a little bit about this Atlanta Celtics series and just how I'm not totally bought in on Trae Young. And I said my sleeper for a long run for the Celtics is going to be Derek White. And once again, he showed and proved for me, showing up, having a wonderful night. That lineup that they have with Horford, Derek White, Smart, great defensive unit, Tatum and Brown. That's a dangerous unit, Mark, to put out there against anybody.
I agree, which we saw last year. And then the acquisition, like you said, of Derek White, who out of Colorado, by the way. Not only is he skilled, high IQ basketball player, knows how to come in and run your offense. He's very aggressive. He can score in a multitude of ways. He can score. He can get off, attack off of the dribble. He can score off the catch and shoot. Definitely is a plus for the Celtics. I like him, and I like what they're doing. I like I like what Tatum and Brown is doing in their leadership roles as the 1-2 punch right now. Obviously, I think what Tatum understands this year that he has to understand in order to finish is that the physicality this year, it was interesting watching them early on step their physicality up. And it's going to be interesting watching if they carry that going into the playoffs, because I thought that was the difference, was they were really finesse last year as opposed to really upping their level of physicality, getting to the free throw lines. As you know, Strick, when the game slows down, you got to get to that free throw line. And I think that was something that I think they probably learned this year to be good to see if they can execute that.
Absolutely. One of the games that has been, a lot of people have been highly interested in watching has been the Clippers, as well as the Suns. They gave you could tell at the way that they were just running guys at Durant. They, whether it be on a shot fake and a move, they were back in running guys at him, which he wasn't able to pick up and find, which was allowing him to get blocked sometimes, ball stolen. You saw what the Celtics did to him last year.
Yeah.
And the Clippers are kind of taking that same method in their approach in dealing with him. I knew that this game was probably going to be a little bit different. We knew that when you look at the Clippers, Westbrook played tremendous in this game, as a lot better than he did in the last game. His assist numbers weren't as high, but Kawhi Leonard is doing what Kawhi Leonard does. It's like he's playoff. He shows up when it's time in the playoff. But I knew that without having Paul George, it was going to be difficult for them to pull 2 out going into Phoenix.
I agree. I mean, look, you're talking about 3 of future Hall of Famers. I thought they would figure it out, but more importantly, I thought that Monty Williams figured it out.
Yeah.
I thought that he was able to get KD easier shots in the second half because face it, early on it looked like that they were in line of heading into like it was in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looked like the Clippers they had the moxie. It seems like they don't fear the Suns, and it looked like it was going to end up being similar to game 1. But in the second half, they got Durant on some pin downs and things of that nature. I think going in with just giving him the ball, giving him one-on-one, the defense can key in now. I think if you run him off certain screens and things of that nature, getting him coming off the ball now, you take bodies off of him. He's coming off. Now you can use that frame to go vertical, which he was able to do, which we know can't nobody block. But you're talking about Kawhi Leonard now. Kawhi is taking a personal challenge of guarding him one-on-one, and in my opinion, is doing an exceptional job with that. But listen, I still think Phoenix has some things to figure out. I think that Clippers did what they had to do going into game 1. They stole one, and I like the physicality of the Clippers guards. And Strick, going back to when we talked about the physicality, and I like where the NBA is going of allowing the physicality as the game slows down. I love it. It reminds us of where we play, right? And so we're getting ready to see what some of these guys are really about.
Yeah.
And what I like what's happening now, I love the physicality of the guards. If you watch, we always talk about the straight line drive. If you look at Powell, you look at Gordon, when those guys drive to the basket, they mean business. And if their shot is not falling, I feel good about them having the ability of getting to the free throw line, which we know is very important in these situations. So it's going to be a chess match, and it's going to be. I would like to see how the Phoenix Suns respond in LA.
Love it, Mark. That's good insight right there. Let's move on to one that was a very big surprise. A lot of people didn't think that they would be able to do it in game 1. They got it done. Big game out of Jalen Brunson. Didn't play as well. There's still yet to be a RJ Barrett sighting. Very inconsistent. That happens sometimes with young players coming into their first times in the playoffs. But Darius Garland went berserk last night. It was like they couldn't do nothing with DG last night. Yeah. Plus 29. They were in the plus like regularly all night. Karis LeVert was huge for them. 40 minutes. He played the most of anybody last night off the bench, giving them 9 for 16, 4 for 9 from 3, and 24 points. And that was just huge because that's going to be something they need to see where they didn't have to rely on Spider all night. And they were able to get it done. They needed to get it done. They got it done. Now they're going to go out to New York and hopefully be able to see where this series go. How far do you think? How well do you think it's in 6 or do you think it's a 7?
I think this is a potential series that can go 7. And it's going to be a game where it's going to be chess match. I thought the first game, the bigs really let the Spider down. Obviously, Garland was, he sometimes disappears when Spider is really being aggressive. So it was good to see him stand out, and it was good to see. But it's going to be interesting to see if both of those guys can be engaged at once without one having to take away from the other. I thought Spider was consciously being passive, making sure Garland got off and trying to fill in the gaps, which I thought works. But it's going to be interesting as the adjustments go along. Can those two both play being aggressive? And I thought the bigs handled the challenge. I thought early on, they got bullied. And it was good to see them come back and really step up and be aggressive, which is setting up for a really interesting game 3. I thought Julius Randle was kind of rushing a little bit. I thought he got a little out of character. I think after video, they'll go back and see, some things that they can adjust. And look,
Tibbs is good at that. That's what Tibbs like.
Absolutely. It's one of the best in the league. And I love, Jalen Brunson, high IQ basketball player who he's the type of guy who won't struggle. He may struggle a game, but he's the type of guy because of his IQ and the way he plays. He's a guy that you can definitely rely on and expect him to come bounce back, strong.
Yeah. Let's talk before we get into the games of the night, especially the one that I want to talk about, which is Lakers Grizzlies. Let's talk about the Draymond Green suspension. We didn't know for sure if it was going to come out. I was speculating that they may let it pass based on kind of how it all came out, with the way that he kind of had his leg a little bit trapped. It was a little bit excessive, worthy of a flagrant 2, but now it's come out they've suspended him. Now, again, this happened before where they ended up losing the Cleveland series, where it was important that Draymond was there. And do you think it's still okay, being that it's still this early? But I think it's trouble when you're talking about going down 0-2 potentially to in that series. I don't think that's what they'd want to do in losing him. Tell me about your perspective on the suspension, warranted, and can Golden State overcome it?
This one is tough because the truth is, I thought the history of Draymond Green definitely came into play. The NBA said that. I think
Dennis Rodman type of thing, the way they used to do Dennis.
Yes, and it's fair.
Yeah.
You talk a guy of the history. I think he's known for kicking guys in the nuts. Excuse my language, but it's happened on many occasions, and so it's sad. I hate as a competitor. As a fan now myself, I would love to see the Warriors have a real opportunity to put all this. With him being suspended, I really don't give him much of a chance. But is it warranted? It really is warranted, and the NBA has to stand behind it. If they don't stand behind it, and I mean, it looks bad, as they move forward, because we'll always say, well, in the spirit of the playoffs, this shouldn't happen. Well, how far can players go, and where does the NBA draw the line? So at some point, and I think that the NBA made a stand, unfair to the fans, but Draymond Green has to understand that. He has to understand who he is to this team, and for a guy who's been to this situation before. I thought it was a bad mistake on his part to go that far. Look, he held his leg, and I'm for, a slight kick, but the WWF hop where you drew the attention, I thought there was a way, Strick, there was a way to get away with a little kick and keep on pushing up the floor, right?
Yeah.
But he wanted the whole world to know that he was jumping on his chest, right?
Facts.
So with that comes what? So
consequence
and the consequences. And so I'm all for it. I know a lot of people are upset about it. I know the people and definitely in Golden State are upset. But look, in all seriousness, it's fairness. It's fair. I think the technical foul to Sabonis I thought was fair. Could he have been maybe fined or something like that for the altercation, for enticing it? Yes, but other than that, I think everything else was fair in that regard.
Before we get to the Lake Show, big implications here without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jimmy Buckets Butler is leading the charge as he did in the bubble. Is he capable of doing it without Tyler Hero? They're both potentially missing key pieces longer term for Tyler Hero, but they're saying is an upgrade for Giannis. Can the Bucks get it done? I mean, big game out of Middleton. They need, I think, Drew Holiday to step up potentially, but can the Bucks get it done without Giannis?
They can, but it's tough. And here's the thing. I watched them put Drew Holiday. Usually when they put Drew Holiday on just about anybody else, he has a tremendous impact, especially on a guy like KD, longer players, which is very surprising. But Jimmy Butler's a bully. He's physical. He's strong, and I'm not sure there's the same impact there. So it's tough. It's a huge assignment because nobody else plays that type of defense and is being asked to score like he is now. And that's a tough assignment. And so if Giannis doesn't come back and he has to play that dual role, Lopez and the other guys are really going to have to step up. The Bobby Portises, who all have phenomenal years, by the way. And if there is any team capable of stand up, it's a veteran team who's been there before and knows how to do it.
Love it, love it. Now let's get to your Lakers, man. Won a championship with the Lakers. The Lakers find themselves up 1-0, made great additions. I didn't know they would be able to get it done, Samaki. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought they were going to be on Stuck Like Chuck, but they were able to get it done. Bring in some key pieces, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and they found a gem in Austin Reeves.
Yes.
And so LeBron looked gassed. That was one of the first times in a while that he kind of looked like it was tight and tough, but he had guys there that was able to step up. How far, with the way that the Lakers and the makeup of the Lakers of this team, how far can they go? Because without Ja Morant, I think the Grizzlies are in trouble personally. I just don't think they have enough weapons to get it done. But I thought I was going to be in trouble with him. But without him, I think it's even more trouble.
I think you're 100% right. Definitely without him. With him, it's very competitive. It can go either way. I think the Lakers now, number one, with LeBron being gassed, going back to that, I thought that was a gift and a curse. I think that, LeBron, as great as he is, sometimes he can be very ball dominant. And very ball dominant, not necessarily good for the Lakers. And so it's important to get these other guys into a rhythm, Strick, which, if you're going to be a role player, you got to have some type of rhythm. You want to know where your shots is coming, at what points and times of the game. Everything can't be based off, the star players' just creativity. There has to be some type of systematic approach to it. And so I thought last game was LeBron, and I always thought this going. I said the minute LeBron can evolve into and will be willing as just a catch and shoot guy and let some of these other pieces move and function within the system, the Lakers can win. They can still win. I believe they have the pieces to do it. But the old LeBron, where they stand around where he has to make every play, look, the NBA is up on that, just like they're getting up on the Warriors now. And so that's not going to win. Just like when Giannis holds the ball and things, though, you got to be able to get the other players. Which team can get the other players involved is going to be the team usually successful at the end. This is why I love what Giannis does in Denver. He's a superstar who keeps the ball moving constantly, and everybody is willing to thrive within that system there. And so if the Lakers are willing to take a page of what they did last game and keep the ball flowing, allow some of these young guys to play, I think they can win this series.
Wow. Great insight. Thank you so much, Samaki Walker. There he is, Samaki Walker, former NBA champ, former Laker, former Maverick with Stricky. Man, listen, hope to get you back next week, man, and break it down, man. That's great insight that you gave us today on the block, man.
Hey, man, my pleasure. Anytime, Strick.
Yeah, it's all love. There he is, Samaki Walker. We're going to have to get up out of here. Quick break. Old School will be tapping in right after us. We weren't able to cross over with him because we wanted to make sure Samaki got all of that information out on today, and we're appreciative of that as the playoffs is in full swing, Austin.
Full swing. We're going.
We're going, baby. We're moving, and so is the block right now. We're going to be moving out of the way to allow Old School to tap in and get back on schedule. Go ahead.
No Old School. We have high school baseball today, Stricky.
You great reminder. So look, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. Look at that. But listen, Allo, go get Allo. You can find us there on channel 951. You got us on all the other platforms. We weren't able to be on the radio today. We thank you for those who were on the text line, still tapping in. We appreciate you guys and all the wonderful work that you continuously do and all the pictures that you send. Shout out to Notorious B.I.B. Thank you for all that you do as well. Claytonia John, we love you. Nyla Boo, we love you. We love all you guys that are on the Sauter Heyman text line. But we got to get out of here, make way for baseball to take over right after this.
Yes, sir. About 4:30.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Mañana. We're out of here. Peace.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment